Hello and welcome to Crash Course American History. I'm Evan Green and today we're going to talk about fake news.
Mr. Green! Mr. Green! Isn't fake news a current topic? I thought this was history class!
That's just the problem, me from the past. Fake news has been around for a long time, since the beginning of news itself.
So let's take a look into the history of fake news, starting at the very beginning of American history. Okay, well, maybe not the natives, but the beginning of America as in the US. One of the most famous uses of propaganda and exaggeration can be found in the lies of the Boston Massacre, when on March 5th, 1770, 5 Americans were killed during a riot against the Intolerable Acts when British soldiers fired into the crowd. The well-known analysis today says that the colonists were actually at fault, provoking the soldiers, and that the troops only fired due to misheard orders. This story was taken by the Sons of Liberty and publicized to try and unite the colonists against the hostile British soldiers that may lash out at any time. In other words, they demonized the British, and it worked as Americans and French people alike lost the respect for the British Army. So yeah, here's a classic example of fake news used to provoke a desired action, and this was like when the media barely existed.
In fact, propaganda is used all the time during wars and conflicts to help drum up support for America. The goal of pro-war propaganda is to get citizens on board with war efforts and to support America no matter what. Propaganda used during wartime was often censored to ensure the opposing opinion was not being widespread. Photographs were vetted before reaching the press to filter out any topics that were inappropriate to share with the American people. This actually lasted a pretty long time, until the media covered the Vietnam War and all the censoring kind of went down the drain. But it made its way back after the war ended.
For much of the antebellum period of American history, slavery was the top issue of the day, of any day. And because both sides were so entrenched in their beliefs, it makes sense that they both would want to go to great lengths to convince others of their opinions, even if it required using a few alternative facts. Everyone has heard of Uncle Tom's Cabin, the novel by Harriet Beecher Stowe that showed slavery in an accurate and evil light. But what many don't know is that the publication of this book triggered an entire counter-movement known as Anti-Tom. Both books and newspapers published at the time in the South showed slavery in a positive light, with slave owners as the kind old father, raising slaves as one of their own. We know today that this was just not the case, but writing like this was enough to help keep tensions high and slavery around for a few more years before the Civil War, and the South fought all the harder in the war, defending the morally right choice of slavery.
Oh, it's time for the mystery document? So the rules are simple. I read the document and try to guess the author. If I get it right, I win. If I don't, I get electrocuted. Then you were happy, we said. You did not sigh to be free? No, mistress, that I didn't. I was too well off for that. I wouldn't have left my master and mistress for all the freedom in the world. I left my own father and my mother first. I loved them better than I'd done them. I love their children too. Every one of them has been babies in my arms, and I loved them a heap better than done my own. I want to stay with them as long as I live, and I know that they will take care of me when I get too old to work. Ah, yes, of course, that must be Caroline Lee Hentz, who wrote The Planter's Northern Bride, one of the most popular anti-Tom books of the time period.
You may remember the incident of the Spanish-American War, which was all but caused by an overreaction to the media's reports that the Maine, an American ship, had been blown up by enemy ships. It later came to light that a technical failure had most likely caused the explosion. So yeah, that whole war, oops.
As time goes on, propaganda has only gotten worse, and exaggeration has gotten more and more pronounced. But the point is that throughout American history, the media has used propaganda to exaggerate events and provoke public reaction. So guys, yes, fake news is bad. It's no good to have the media making up headlines and clickbaiting people who only turn out to never read the article anyway, just to play off people's emotions and hopefully to get them to vote a certain way or hate countries or races or people or whatever. I'm not denying any of that happens. It's just not only a 2017 thing. It's been going on for centuries.
Thank you for watching Crash Course History. If you were paying attention, you learned that Mrs. Labasso never showed us the Wind Beneath Our Wings video. She has big hands, and she told you guys that the AP test was in chronological order. Tune in next week for another exciting episode of Crash Course.
Kazoo!